Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review. In today's review I'm going to be taking a look at yet another Dalek set, which is the History of the Daleks set number 5, which is based on the story The Power of the Daleks, which is available now in B&M stores. The story itself was the second Doctor's first ever story, and what a brilliant way to start it off with this new incarnation by battling the Daleks. So as ever, let's take a look at the packaging. The figures come in a window box display with the blue and silver style guide, with the logo and the TARDIS on the sides, the limited edition foil sticker, the name of the set, as well as the title and year of the story it's based on. On the back you also have promotional images of the Daleks themselves, as well as a little synopsis about the story, and some additional information about the Dalek props themselves. I always love that they add some information about the props, as it just gives you an insight about the history of the ones used in the show. And as ever, you also have this amazing diorama backdrop of the inside of the Dalek spacecraft, with the window on the right actually showing a promotional image of two Daleks from that story, as well as a little window that Lesterson looked through in horror as he saw the Daleks reproducing. I really love these little backdrops that they do, as it makes a nice piece to display your figures with. Unlike me, who can't store them or even display them, these will just be going in the bin and crushed into little pieces. So opening these Daleks up out of their plastic tomb, these look absolutely magnificent. You can tell that a lot of detail has been added here to represent how they would have looked in the story. The design itself is simply superb. It is one of my favourite Dalek designs of all time, as it's just simply a classic. From what we had last year, we did have quite similar versions of what we have now. But again, these props over time were either repaired or altered when going about on public events, so they did need a bit of a spruce up when it came to shooting each time they were seen on screen. As well as that, you still maintain that lovely silver sheen as well as those lovely blue hemispheres. It simply looks superb. As well as that, we also get a new appendage on one of these guys, which is of course the Mutant Scoop, but more on that later. First of all, taking a look at the drone, yet again these Daleks have been coated in this lovely silver paint, which has a lovely silver sheen to them. On the dome itself you have the egg cup dome lights, which I think look quite similar to how they were in the actual story, as they weren't as yellow as many people believe. Just like on the life-size ones, they have been given these sort of faded yellow but almost cream paint to them, and they do look very nice indeed. Then taking a look at the eye stalk, this one is again an oddity, but at the same time accurate, as some of these props did in fact have new eye stalks with the smaller pupil. Now I never realised this until now, and I did look up this information on Dalek 6388, and it is in fact correct. I highly recommend that page if any Dalek aficionados are watching, as it is jammed packed with a lot of information about the props themselves. The rings around the eyes have been painted in this lovely blue colour, and the eyeball has been painted in a matte black, as well as the little iris being painted white, which again has been painted small to represent the Dalek squinting at something. Again, very nice paint apps on the neck bin. You have those little gratings on the black sections, which is a very nice detail added, and the same silver paint has been applied to the rings. Then taking a look at the midsection, they seem to have decided to go back to how it was before and painted it darker. However, it isn't actually the same colour that were on the previous sets. It seems to be a mix between the two colours of the previous sets and the sets that came out back in 2020, which I don't mind. I was never really a fan of that lighter grey, and there seems to be a very nice mix. Unfortunately, there seems to be an error where they only painted the front and they've missed out the section underneath the slats. This was probably something that was too late to fix, so they had to make do with what they got. It's not a massive issue unless you actually pay close attention to it. The slats themselves look lovely as ever, with all the mesh detailing and the tiny bolts holding the slats onto the body, and these again have been painted in the vibrant silver, which just looks stunning. And then we have the gun and the plunger arm. The plunger is just the same on what we see on every classic Dalek toy, and then with the gun you have the same ones that we use on the Jungles and Mechanist set, as the guns were new on the props, as it wasn't until later when they were bent inwards, which was just due to the fact they were getting old. And finally you have the skirt section, which again is painted in this lovely silver, and the hemispheres have been painted in a darker blue as seen to the previous set. I do think they could have gone a bit darker, as they were a lot darker in that time period, but it's still a nice representation. And finally, you have the skirt base, which they have actually brought back the details of the scuff marks along the base, just to show that these props have been bashed about and mishandled during recording. It's a lovely rendition, and I love that added bonus that was something that would have appeared on the actual props. The base itself is just painted in a matte black and has that light whitish wash over the top to represent the marks. Overall, it's a very nice Dalek. It does represent what was seen on screen, and if you're a fan of these style of Daleks, or just a fan of the story, I highly recommend grabbing this set while you can. Swiftly moving on, you have the Mutant Scoop Dalek. Finally, a Dalek toy that people have been asking for years, and when we originally got this, it was in the form of those 3.75 figures, which was something that people were not entirely happy with, but finally we do get one in the official 5-inch range, which just looks great. Of course, it means that the money is being spent well, as we have new tooling, which is something that I didn't think would happen. Just like the other Dalek, it's mostly the same, but the only differences here is that this one still retains the 60s eye stalk, which has a different shape to it, and it also consists on this mutant scoop. Just like the plunger arm, but instead you have this massive sieve-like shape at the end. Unfortunately, there is no mutant in this set, but you could easily use the one that came in the now very rare Genesis set from years back, or last year's Recon Dalek, which also came with a mutant. Yet, if you're feeling adventurous with a paintbrush, you can now buy replica mutants on eBay, who has done rather well on replicating the simplicity of the design that was used in the show. And I may buy one myself at some point. Link will be in the description below if you want to purchase one yourself. So for articulation, it's pretty much standard with all these other Daleks toys. The dome can rotate a full 360, the eye stalk can pivot up and down, the plunger and gun are both on ball joints, so you can rotate them in any position that you would like. And then there are 3 wheels on the bottom, so you can move the Dalek, as well as having a rotating wheel on the front, so you can move the Dalek in any position that you'd like. Now, as a side note, people are wanting to know if you are able to remove the gun so that you could recreate that look of a servant Dalek. And the short answer is yes, you can. However, it means the ball joint is still left attached. Now, it's a shame that they missed a point out on these sets, as it would have been cool if they did what they did on the Genesis 2-pack from years ago from Toys R Us, where they took out the gum and the ball joint so that you could display the Doctor holding it. It's only a minor nitpick, but maybe it was something that fans may have not liked, so who knows. So overall on this set, it's just simply superb. I know it may be a bit monotonous getting a load of Daleks, but I love that we are getting these, as it is a great chance for people to get specific Dalek designs that they may have missed out on previous releases. The lovely rendition of the Mutant Scoop is welcoming, as it is something that us fans have been wanting in our collections for many years. I just simply love the design of these Daleks, as it's just so simplistic and is just an overall classic. I am happy that they went for a different choice of paint around the midsection, as a lot of fans were hating that new look. As well as that, you can also pull the gun out, so you can recreate that iconic scene within the episode I Am Your Servant. These sets are now available in B&M as we speak. I highly recommend any UK fans to try and track these down. Thank you all for watching, and to conclude my reviews on the Wave 1 releases, I will be taking a look at the History of the Daleks set number 7, so stay tuned for that. Until then, it's bye for now.
I am your servant.